Hola and welcome to a new episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show, brought to you by Roofless Painters. In each episode, we discuss what we are about to paint and why we're going to paint it. We introduce the theme of the painting collection we're getting ready to work on. We talk about the genesis of the concept, its context, and the form it's going to take on our paintings. And we bring up stylistic and historical references as inspiration. Our episodes are from live, messy, and unvarnished, like our paintings. I am Julio Panisello, the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters, an art school and gallery for nomads and misfits. And you can find all the episodes in video format on our Instagram page and our YouTube channel. Please follow us, subscribe to our channel, drop a like and leave a comment. We would really appreciate it. And you can now also find us as podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and other popular podcast platforms. Yes, the Roofless Dog and Pony Show is now also offered as a podcast. So we are in the podcast game, I guess. So the good thing is that now you can listen to us while you're walking, while you're driving. If you find you have the need to tune out from this crazy world, or if you want to fall asleep and want to listen to our ramblings, there you go. So you can follow us on Spotify and the rest of the platforms. So what I'm going to do is go right ahead and... before I do that, let me just kind of like bring this. So this week we stumble upon an article at Forbes of India, of all places. I don't even know how we ended up there, but the article's headline talked about how more people looked at art online in 2020 than physically in the last 28 years. And granted, this was an article talking about someone called Ashish Anand, which is the CEO of the Delhi Art Gallery. And he was getting interviewed, and he was talking about the differences between 2020 and years prior at his gallery. But we feel like that's something that has happened not only in India but all over the world. So I'm gonna read like one of the answers of the interview because it's very interesting. 2020 taught us humility but not modesty. That is because the art market, after a short hiccup, continued to rise, and several new price benchmarks were established. Galleries and museums switched to the online model with cyber viewing rooms, and those were a huge hit. And the appetite for consumption of art, as well as conversations around it, boomed, surprising many. We now know that in the future, the art fraternity will function as a hybrid level, both physically as well as online. If there's one thing I can say for sure, is that more people looked at art online in 2020 than physically in the last, in all the 28 years that the Delhi Art Gallery has been in existence. So this is something that it's not surprising us because we have been watching and reading and noticing that art auctions have hit like record prices even during the pandemic. We have also noticed and read about statistics of sales in platforms like Etsy, for example, which reports a 95% increase in searches for wall art There's also Adobe Analytics, which tracks purchases online from major retailers. And their numbers are even more dramatic. An average daily sales of, quote, art goods, end quote, which includes sculptures, artworks, and frames, increased 134% between the pre-COVID-19 months of 2020 and last fall. So those numbers are amazing and incredible, and we're excited. We have noticed also an increase in sales in our own gallery, if we must say, which we feel like it correlates with what people are mentioning and saying. More people staying in their homes. They're considering beautifying their empty white walls, and they're thinking of finally buying pieces of work in order to make our homes and our environments a little bit more appealing, attractive, and comfortable. So yeah. So when we were just talking and reading about this phenomenon and how things are moving forward, and how from this point forward there's going to be a change that's going to involve this combination of physical presence and also online experience, we couldn't help but remember this piece, this John Baldessari painting, Tips for Artists Who Want to Sell. Immediately this popped in our heads. John Baldessari, American artist, conceptual artist, passed away recently, or not a long time ago. He created this piece, I think, in 1966. After he burned all his paintings. He had a major crisis. He was a painter before, and then he just decided to bring all his pieces to crematorium, actually, and just burn everything up. He kept the ashes, and he started to he got rid of process. He wanted to change the definition of art, and then he started creating sign paintings. And this is one of the examples, possibly the most famous. This piece is at the Broad Museum, and it's acrylic on canvas. And this was not painted by him. He hired sign artists in order to do this piece, and he also it's not even his own message. He started taking messages from books and magazines, and I believe this belonged to a magazine, an arts magazine at the time, that was recommending this kind of like advice. So it's not even his advice, it's not his painting. He hired someone else to do it. But yeah, that was in response of his switch between from process painting into conceptual art. So I don't know if you can see the last bullet in that, those three major tips for making sure, or advices to tips for artists who want to sell more. And the last tip, let me just refresh. Subject matter is important. It has been said that paintings with cows and hens in them collect dust. Sorry, and I have like a better view. While the same paintings with bulls and roosters sell. All right, so we're gonna actually take that final paragraph on this painting, this hilarious piece of conceptual art that signifies a very important moment in American the 20th century art. And we're just going to focus on the bull section. Not only that, we want to create a test in which we're going to paint a subject matter, hoping that, or testing if the John Baldessari rule applies to what we're going to do. In other words, so we decided to take advantage of the fact that this year is the year of the ox. And we're going to be painting oxen. So this is going to be the subject matter to all of our paintings, our painting collection this week. It's going to be inspired by the figure of oxen, and the reason is because we want to put this new or this wave or this trend and see if these numbers, these statistics really do apply, and find out if perhaps behind John Baldessari's humorous and funny message, there is some truth to it. So there you go. So that's going to be the subject matter. We're going to paint oxen as a way of documenting the year of the ox, and as a test, a retail test, to see if any of the paintings or all of them will sell. And what we did was to bring examples of paintings of oxen, and we did a little bit of research because we wanted to find out what's the difference between the cow and a bull, which we know obviously, but bringing up the words from the painting, and also oxen, and we just reveal a really dark reality for these animals that we were completely unaware of. And we curated some of the images in order to try to break that dark reality. The fact is that an oxen is a bull. They both belong to the same species that has gone through some dramatic inflicted transformations. Oxen are bovines that have been male bovines that have been castrated to make them more docile, so they could be used for agricultural purposes. So oxen have been used to haul heavy things, to plow the ground. They have been used and abused for human interest throughout centuries. And I don't know, we feel a little bit strange and weird about it because there are many examples of paintings featuring oxen, and all of them, or the majority, the great majority of them, feature oxen in that specific situation: shackled, tied up, sad, being used by humans to carry heavy loads or in really harsh conditions. And so I don't know. So what we did instead was curate images of paintings with oxen by painters who decided to just feature the oxen either in the wild or without the shackles of agriculture. So this is a painting by an Italian artist named Giuseppe Cecchetti. It's titled Blue Oxen. If you're listening this as a podcast, know that you can go to our YouTube channel and see images of the paintings, and also on our Instagram page. He was an Italian painter, born in 1902, and he lived until 1990. And we tried to bring different styles of painting as inspiration, just because we want to make sure that we create a portfolio that it's diverse enough stylistically, so we feel motivated and inspired by the ideas and the styles behind the paintings that we bring as inspiration. Anyhow, we love the composition. We love the fact that these oxen are free. They're resting. They're not stressed out. They're not tired. They're not sad. They are together. We love the very strong tonalism of the composition. We love the fact that even though it's an outdoor scene. There are a lot of grays dominating the color palette. There's barely any views of the sky, and we see on the upper right side there's another oxen in the distance. So compositionally, it's a really dynamic and interesting and really freeing and genuine painting. So that's one. And we also, it's a little bit dark, but we brought another painting of two oxen, also free in the wild, not being used or abused by any humans. This painting is by a Danish painter named Lawrence Froelich, 1820 to 1908, turn of the century. And we love the low-key values on this painting. The oxen are very dark. You can see the strong silhouette work occupying the entire composition. There is barely any movement around the focal points and the edges. Another fantastic and exquisite example of strong tonalism. A good also visual example of how less is more. There's not a extreme detail representation of the oxen. It's mostly these heavily irregular forms caught in a moving motion. Even though they're both, there are two focal points, they're both treated differently. Frontal view versus three-quarter perspective, creating almost a double study of the same animal. Amazing treatment of the background, no horizon line, the ground, the tarnished ground, metallic ground, sort of like merges or transitions into this cloudy dark sky. We love this painting for many reasons. Again, we're curating images that are not of oxen, that are not subjected to human use, because we feel like it's important for many reasons. And let me see if I can just try to elaborate a little bit more on that, even though we talked about it. All right, we were so happy to find out that John Singer Sargent had many watercolors and oil paintings, not only of oxen, but oxen in their sort of like in a leisure, free, on their own mode. And we were relieved and happy and excited to find out that one of the most important American artists in the 19th and I would say early 20th century have images or depictions of oxen in his work. So this is titled Oxen on the Beach at Bahia or Bahia. I'm not sure exactly. We should have checked the location of this beach. John Singer Sargent traveled around Europe and around the world, really. And one of the amazing things that he did is actually paint on location while he was traveling. So he is mostly known, as we know, as a portrait painter. Depicting this fabulous Edwardian style people, but he was also a plein air artist, an artist who wanted to document the experiences that he was feeling during his travels. And this is an example of that. A couple of oxen, or maybe three, and also the extreme tonalism. Look at the color palette of this, or we're going to describe for you the color palette of this painting. It has like two temperatures. There is this dominance of, I would say, a combination of burnt sienna and ecru mix with a great transparency. The oxen and the sand on the beach are treated in a very monochromatic almost way. There's wonderful lavenders on the Oxen that pick up from the same lavenders on the clouds in the background over the water. So it's a brilliant, masterful use of color in a very loose drawing or sketch. Nothing feels super tight or rigid or heavy. And again, there is this very relaxed rendition, I would say, recreation of the Oxen. They're not working. They are not pulling. They are not dragging. They're not hauling. They are not struggling. They're just chilling at the beach, and we love that. So I'm gonna move to another watercolor by also John Singer Sargent. We have 3 examples of his work focused on Oxen, which makes us extremely excited and happy and motivates us to do this collection of paintings in 2020. And yes, similar concept. The Oxen this is titled Oxen in Repose, painted in 1910. There's a sense of a outdoor space, but it's not as defined as the previous watercolor. It's more of like it evokes the idea of the Oxen being outdoors, but it's treated in a very abstract way. And then the most important aspect on this watercolor, I would say, is how John Singer Sargent painted the light, the high contrast of the sunlight reflecting on the back of the Oxen versus the shaded area on the rest of the volume. It just creates the illusion of being outside. The high contrast brings a very beautiful focal point beyond the figures. The irregular serpentine lines defining different layers of Oxen, playing with rhythmic size, playing with perspective. It's just so amazingly complex and sophisticated, and that's what we are going to go for. We're going to work off of photographs. We're going to bring photographs of Oxen that are outdoors, that are enjoying their lives. We try to find farms, rescue farms with Oxen, and we found a couple. So it's going to be a series in which the image sources will be photographs. And finally, this is the final painting by John Singer Sargent. It's titled Oxen Resting. In our minds, we want to believe that John Singer Sargent truly saw oxen for their beauty and their majestic presence, because not only he included them in his paintings, but he included them in a very bucolic, almost mythological way, and including the titles. There are titles that are essentially appealing to this stage or mode, or the idea of resting or lounging or reposing, as we said before. Was it reposing? Yes, reposing. This is an oil, very clever and modern, I would say, composition, painted also in 1910. So it's not a watercolor, it's an oil. And notice that there are different elements here. It's a little bit more complex and less spontaneous, because you have architectural elements and you have botanical elements, in addition to the idea of being outdoors because of the landscape. So very interesting composition in which the oxen are arranged on the lower side of the painting, and then you have this beautifully painted cypress trees that are old and they are chopped, and you can see the sky percolating through the Cypress trees, check out the desaturated green on the cypress trees and how important and amazing that is. The incredible, you can tell that he was there because the cast shadow of the cypress tree on the right over the wall of the farm or the place, the dwelling. It has a purplish tone, and we know obviously they didn't have smartphones then, but we know how cast shadows can be really colorful when you actually see them from live. Again, the high focus on light. There is a warmth on that light. There is a sense of the light projecting with a very strong direction. The sun is not very high, so this could be either sunrise. My guess, it's sunrise. We'd love to imagine the situations as painters and guess things that maybe were part of the scene. But I think this looks more like the early time of the day, perhaps, when the oxen are still chilling and waking up and they're not ready yet to go eat grass. I don't know, I'm just making this up, but all right, so we have a human in this painting, and all right, so there's a human with a horse and that's carrying a stick. So this is not exactly the curatorial criteria that we wanted to follow with this portfolio, but we thought this was an interesting painting to include because there are oxen also at the beach, and this is by Joaquin Sorolla, a Spanish painter. 1863, 1923, also turn of the century, famous for this impressionistic but especially distinct images of people at the beach, and talk about painting's sunlight. He was a master of bringing focus to high key notes on water, on humans either naked or wearing white linens by the beach, and all the games and the playfulness of the light and shadows that the sun creates on different surfaces. Anyhow, so it's a group of oxen, and we want to believe that's a shepherd, and that's why we included this. And we want to believe that the shepherd was kind of like taking the oxen for a walk. So we're staying with that conceptual background, and we just love this grouping of almost geometric stains. All together, it just feels like there is a heavily abstract and amorphous grouping, and you cannot really tell when where one oxen ends and the other one begins. So everything, it's treated very loosely, and we see a bunch of legs arranged diagonally, creating perspective and depth. But we thought it was also an interesting painting. Another Sorolla painting, and this painting mixes the subject of the oxen and his favorite subject, the seashore, the water by the sea. Beautiful golden yellow, or we should say orange light. Interesting composition. The oxen are not facing us. We see the back of the oxen. Apart from how well crafted or produced this painting or painted this image is, we want to bring the attention on the composition and how weird and ridiculously awkward it is. I mean, I don't think I would just kind of like set up to do a painting of oxen and paint their butts and their tails, but there you have it. It's just a very interesting composition in which we see the back legs of two oxen. We cannot really tell where the heads are. There's another oxen in front of those two, and this other oxen seems to be carrying two kids. So the two children, I don't know what they're doing, but they're yeah, they're just on top of one of the oxen, and then it's a really, you cannot see the horizon line, which is also very interesting. That's cropped out, and you see the waves and this rhythmic gradation of light from silvery light blue to Payne's gray black almost. But yeah, very interesting. Of course, you know, the way the strokes, the texture strokes on the foamy water, where the hind legs are, with those lavenders, and also mixed with the, I wouldn't say aqua greens because it's kind of like a muddy green. But we're going to direct your attention to perhaps one of the most beautiful parts of this painting, a part of the composition being so interesting, is the reflection of the oxen. Check out at the really lower part of the painting, there is a reflection of the color, this orange, like very saturated orange that goes from orange to burnt sienna, really bright burnt sienna. Look how it is reflected on the water at the bottom of the painting. Just that little tiny thing that has that color, the color of the oxen, completely burst open. It's there. It's not contained. It's kind of like floating, almost like as an oil stain on the water. It just feels so exquisite, and it gives us chills. So just gonna go to the next painting, which makes us really excited. I think it's the last one. Yeah, this is the last painting we're gonna show you, and then we're gonna wrap up the episode. This is a painting by Rosa Bonaire. Rosa Bonaire was a French painter. We have recently been talking about her for many reasons, but she was the most famous French painter of the turn of the century. She was a woman, and she was highly respected. She was completely forgotten by art history. She was a very strong woman, and a woman that wore pants when it was not legal to wear pants, and had same-sex affairs and relationships that were completely out in the open. She was also she became a very wealthy painter, so she was respected as an artist and as a person. Her choices were respected. She took care of her family. She bought a castle for her parents, and the castle still exists. And Jen, thanks for researching the interior of the castle. You can visit the castle that Rosa Bonaire bought for her parents, and we're guessing that she lived there also. Very low-key painting. Her favorite animals were lions. She identified herself with lions. She painted many lions in her life, but she also painted other animals. And this is when the connection between the animal and the concept really takes centered stage, because Rosa Bonaire didn't paint animals that were weak, or they were not regal, or they were not elevated to Olympian status. She her portraits or paintings, I'm already saying the word portraits, her paintings of animals were almost like self-portraits, or portraits of her own interior self. And this is a very good example of a very well-studied and well-balanced composition of two oxen that look as if they were ready to be sort of like shackled. I don't even know what that thing is when you put on their necks, and ready to be used to pull things, heavy loads. But she's not painting any of that. There are no humans in this scene. There's nothing that indicates us that this is a farm. Maybe the ground. I don't know. Maybe that. It's not like an interior space. Maybe it looks a little bit dark. Maybe it is. But the fact that this is a painting of oxen, painted beautifully with this gorgeous range of burnt sienna tones that go from burnt sienna to Van Dyke brown. the fact that they're painted without any of the stuff that farmers put on oxen to carry their duties. It's amazing. We love we love that so much, and that's also an inspiration and a motivation to paint portraits of oxen as if we were painting portraits of the first dogs, which we did last week, symbolizing, dogs in the Oval Office and how important they are to represent this love of animals that we all have. So let's do that with animals that are associated with other functions, animals that have been, manipulated into animals that are supposed to perform functions. So I'm just going to conclude by reading to you guys from an article in the Oprah magazine. We're excited to watch this weekend Oprah's interview with Meghan and Harry. So Oprah magazine ran an article about 2021 being the year of the ox and what we're supposed to think of it and how we're supposed to act. Because, there's this sort of like a conflict between what an ox represents and it's supposed to be useful for, and what an ox actually is. Anyhow, let me just kind of like not twist my words and just mention that it's not very good. I gotta tell you, this is a little bit of a preemptive note, just like Oprah did with this kind of like minutes that she released, which we love that trailer of that interview. I just we just can't wait, and about time that she came back big. Anyhow, so first thing, keep your head down and avoid too much news. Okay, so that's one of the things that the ox in the year of the ox symbolizes. And she interviews a lot of Chinese astrologers and experts in feng shui to find out the general broad themes. It all depends on your own sign and all that kind of stuff. But anyhow, so in the year of the ox, keep your head down. So that sounds like really kind of like terrible, obviously, because there's a sense of like being submissive. But we want to kind of like turn this upside down and bring the positive aspect of it. Especially, we're going to relate it to the fact that a lot of people are thinking that we're off the hook, the pandemic is over, it's fine, states are kind of like removing... sorry for the interruption, but yes, so some states are removing mandates. So keep your head down could also mean not submission, but keep the eye on the ball. Don't remove your masks. Don't listen to kind of like the nonsense around us, and keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep focusing on this, what we need to do to protect others. Let's just keep waiting our turn for the vaccine. Let's just make sure that we don't change the tune just because the numbers are down. And so I feel like that's a very good message to apply for this year. Another note or another line: keep calm and carry on as best as you can. As best as you can in 2021. We feel like conceptually that's something that could be perfectly symbolized with a painting of an ox. The idea that we need to stay calm. We're bringing up the paintings of John Singer Sargent, the Repose, and the sleeping oxen. Just keep calm and just do what you've been doing. Try not to be obsessive about following the news. Luckily, this feels truly like the year of the ox because we have stopped being glued to the news, at least as much as we were in 2020. So it does feel like a very ox year in that sense. We're just going to cut even deeper and make sure that we don't get caught up with being reactive, and instead we're going to try to be proactive. Preserve preserve your energy and your spirit. Yeah, and how funny that this week we talked a lot about the meaning of work. It's just so amazing that when you start putting all the crumbs together, there is a path. We talked about how important it is to set up a routine and make sure that you find time to paint, that you actually put the work, and that you commit to your practice, because otherwise nothing's going to get done. And we are what we practice. So you can't call yourself a painter unless you paint. So it's funny that we mentioned all this, and now we're reading all these things about in Oprah magazine about hard work, duty, discipline. That's the ox. So find or honor your practice. Stick to discipline. Reflect on what your duty as an artist is, and do the work that it's necessary in order to fulfill that duty. So be solid, be stable, plow the field as a metaphor, and work diligently. So you have to get the work done on the soil before you plant anything. So another good, beautiful metaphor about, maybe we're using agriculture, and that's something different from what we wanted to do with the ox, but still, there's something about stability and feeling solid, and the idea of stable and solid applied to ground. So again, we want this portrait and this series, we want this collection of paintings to reflect a theme for 2021, and we're taking advantage of the lunar astrology, the year of the ox, to cultivate, reflect, and explore those themes so we can carry them throughout 2021, and also maybe just ride the wave of making sales based on this hilarious John Baldessari 1966 acrylic painting, which he didn't do, and he didn't write, or he didn't create the message. So the main focus this is kind of like, maybe this could be a good selling point, you guys, if you're doing this painting. In terms of Feng Shui, the main focus is on the bedroom. It's on our bedrooms, as hard-working oxen do best after peaceful sleep. All right, so this is going to be something we're going to use as a message. We're going to target these paintings for people's bedrooms, and we're going to mention that they need this in their bedrooms in order to bring this harmonious correlation between peaceful rest and location where that happens. So I think Feng Shui wise, you could not be more accurate than purchasing a painting of an oxen from us in order to amplify the idea of a restful place. So I think that's all I've got. Thank you so much. Yeah, overall, there's no bad news for the year of the ox. It's a year in which, thank goodness, there are no bad news. We're kind of like now afraid of the year of the rat in 12 years because it just was like crazy. And astrologers and Feng Shui experts say that this is a year to take care of yourself and, get ready for this, stay drama free. Take care of ourselves and stay drama free. So they are already talking about how 2022 is going to be an amazing year in which a lot of roaring things are going to be happening. So we need this year to take care of ourselves. We need this year to stay grounded, to repose and rest and disconnect from drama and focus on ourselves and find out what we want to be committed to and have the discipline to do the work in order to set a proper solid ground. On that note, thank you so much. Just want to thank everyone who joined live. Lois, we love you back. And Julie, thanks for joining. Laura, so I know we can't wait either. So Dina, thank you so much. And Amanda, I hope you join us. Jagoda Pagoda. We don't know who you are, but we thank you for watching us. And yeah, Dina, thank you so much. And I don't even know how to. You guys, some of your handles are kind of like crazy, but yeah, YNYNNYY. Thanks so much. Oh, Jen, I can wait for tonight and also tomorrow. And then Dina, yeah, we're so happy for your new chapter. And yeah, we're excited. We're gonna do this, and we have the opportunity. Hania from the UK. From the New Forest. Hania, we have an ox memory when we were there. I don't know if you were with, I think you were with us. We saw that fox coming at us with sunlight behind that was coming from, again, Mount Olympus. It was just so, it's embedded in our brains. Yeah, thank you everyone. And please go to Spotify and type The Ruthless Dog and Pony Show. Boom! You're going to see our podcast there. Please follow us so you can get a notification. And again, if you decide to meditate, I don't know how you can meditate with this, but if you want to have like a background voice, if you feel like you want to take a nap and you don't know how to fall asleep to, this is the perfect podcast for that. If you're hiking, if you're walking, if you want to be alone and send a message to everyone else that you don't want to be disturbed, just put your earphones on, tune in our podcast because it will do the trick. And having said that, register for this painting webinar on our website. It starts tomorrow. It's $20. There are a lot of bonuses. We have plenty of opportunities to paint. We are shuffling our schedule next week. It's going to be the anniversary of the last session that we actually took before the lockdown started, and we're going to get back to the same place, Trails Cafe, on Tuesday to celebrate the anniversary. We can now gather outside in small numbers and different households. So we're excited to do that. And this weekend, Saturday, don't forget, we're going to be at Forest Lawn painting under the California oak tree. And it's not going to be windy, which we don't care. And if it is, and it's a perfect studio. So please join us. We already have a couple of signups for that. So lots of painting opportunities. Please join us for this amazing new painting collection. Create a painting of an ox. Let's see if John Baldessari was right or not. Let's do this. Love to everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.